Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to yet again another episode of my podcast. And if you are one of my frequent listeners, you will see that there has been some changes around here. So I thought I'd do an episode on why the changes have happened and how I went through the process of realizing a number of different things of how I was dealing with my business in the same way I was dealing in my previous relationship, and how that is coming to a stop. And I want to share this wisdom with you today. So, first of all, welcome to Authentically Me. That is the new name of the podcast because it's all about us as individuals learning the core of who we are. Because without us even realizing, and I did it in my previous relationship, I lost myself because I didn't actually know myself. I had been running around this world following many different beliefs, many different orders, many different systems of people outside of me without actually realizing, well, hang on a minute, what does Jade think? What does Jade do? And I think there's so many women out there that struggle with this. And because we are sourcing what we desire in this world from other people, we're asking so many opinions of other people, we actually forget, well, what's our opinion? And we forget that we are the ones in charge of our life. We don't have to ask the opinions of other people. Once we have our own understanding of how we see the world, and how we see ourselves, we can authentically be part of that. So, this is what this podcast is all about. We're going to dive deep into understanding how we lost ourselves. Because it's only when you understand how you lost yourself can you then find yourself again. It's like when you lose something, what do? You backtrack. You backtrack all the steps that you've taken to see if the missing piece is there. And this is exactly what we're going to do on this podcast, and what I'm going to do even deeper in the coaching that I offer so many incredible women around this world. And you could be part of my coaching program very soon. Who knows? So, yeah, we're going to understand all the reasons why we lost ourselves in the beginning. We're going to go back into the reasons why we lost these pieces. So we're going to dive deep into the concept of the shadow. We're also going to explore deeper the concept of the inner child. We're also going to look at the feminine essence which lies within, which is our radiance. We're going to dive deep into that. And then we're also going to bring it all together and understand what are healthy relationship dynamics. Because believe it or not, this world is quite a toxic place. And the relationships that we've seen in our lives might not have been the healthiest. And it's only when we actually unlearn the toxic behavior can we then start to learn, well, what is healthy ways of thinking, healthy ways of doing, and healthy ways of being in a relationship, that can we then bring that into our lives. So we're going to be learning all of that in this podcast going forward. I'm really, really excited. And there's going to be a lot of spirituality in it as well. But don't be scared. I know that spirituality is, but I'd like you to look at it more of connection to self, because that's what spirituality is. It's about you connecting with the truth of who you are and the truth of your soul. We're going deep. If you don't know me by now, I am an extremely deep person. Okay. And I haven't shown the depth of me in this podcast yet. This is another reason why I am switching things up a bit, because the depth of me needs to come out. And I know that there's so many souls out there who don't understand themselves on this level, and I want to be able to provide that wisdom as well, because it can feel very lonely at times. and you really don't need to be alone on this journey. So, yeah. And you're probably sat there like, that's fantastic, but why is all this changing from what the podcast was about before? So, in life in general, every single thing that we have a connection with, we have a relationship with it. Okay? And I need you to bear with me on this one because it's going to allow you to understand why I've made these changes. So, as we have a relationship with our partners, we have a relationship with our friends, we have a relationship with the place that we work, we also have a relationship with food, we have a relationship with the work that we're doing. So, in my life, it's my business. And we have relationships with many different things. And how we are with one relationship is how we are with everything, believe it or not, including the relationship that we have with ourselves. This is the most important one. And if the relationship with self isn't as it should be, then our relationships outside are going to reflect that. This is why the relationship with self is one of the most impactful and most important relationships that you will ever have in your life. And society itself makes you look outward. That's what it makes you do. It makes you focus on the world outside of you. And the more you focus on the world outside of you, the less powerful you become. And there's a reason why the powers that be, the governments in this world, don't want us to be powerful. But that's just a whole other topic for a whole other episode, okay? But instead of sourcing everything that we desire in the outside world, it's now time to go inward. I've been doing this for the last 3 years now. And obviously, my life is completely transformed by doing that. And the relationship that I've been having with my business has, the last 6 months, become quite frustrating, quite stagnant, and I've been feeling quite stuck. And it's at that point that I started forcing things. And when you start forcing things, it means it's not supposed to be. That's all I can tell you. And when I had this realization, it took me back to my previous relationship. And in my previous relationship, all I was doing was forcing it to try and make it work, forcing it to be something that it wasn't. Forcing so many things because I couldn't come to the realization and I couldn't accept, if it wasn't meant to be, what's going to happen after. And that fear kept me in a place that I didn't belong. And it was the fear of, well, what's going to happen after this? Who am I without him? What am I going to do? Because my whole identity became him. And that is, I know so many women that struggle at this point. And it's at this specific point, even though they're stuck, even though they're frustrated, even though they're constantly having arguments with the guy that they're in a relationship with, they stay there because they're so in fear of what's going to happen afterwards. And this was basically where I got to in my business. I was stuck. I wasn't happy with how my business was going, and it wasn't allowing me to grow with what I was doing. I felt like what I could give and how my business, how I'd arranged my business at that time, wasn't allowing me to give what I desired to give. Okay. And this, when we're at this point of stagnancy and stuckness, we have two options. We either stay like it and continue feeling frustrated, or we do something about it. And that's what I decided to do something about it. And instead of waiting years as I done before, once I realized where I was getting the frustration, it's been the last month that I've really faced the fact that I don't want to feel like this anymore. I'm in a relationship with something, and when I'm in a relationship with something now, it should allow me to grow while being in it. That is a healthy relationship dynamic. An unhealthy relationship dynamic is being stuck and being pushed down, not knowing who your identity is and the identity of you becoming the other person. I didn't want another relationship like that. And now I found that I felt like my business was going in the same direction. I was like, whoa, need to switch things up here, need to start having a conversation, need to start communicating. And you're probably like, what do you mean communicating with your business? As I said at the very beginning, every single thing you're in a relationship with. And if you're not happy with how the relationship runs, this is when you have to sit back and say, well, actually, what do I desire from this relationship right now? What do I want? Because that's the thing, unless you define exactly what you want, you're not going to be able to communicate it, first of all, to the person that you're in a relationship with. And you're not going to be able to know the direction that you want the relationship to go in. Because if the other person is not willing to go into the same direction, then you have a decision to make. So, when it came to my previous relationship, I wasn't capable of voicing what I wanted. And even when I did think about what I needed, I knew deep down that he wasn't able to give it to me. He wasn't able to give me the emotional support that I needed. He wasn't able to give me the love that I required from him. There was many different things that he wasn't able to do, and I couldn't admit it to myself. So instead, I avoided the situation. I just kept putting it under the carpet, saying, do you know what? We're just having a bad time. Everything's going to be okay afterwards because sometimes he's this amazing man, but he wasn't. That amazing man was just a fantasy that I had in my head. Okay. And at that point, I got to the point in 2018, after trying to communicate so much, I had to face the reality that it wasn't working. And that was when I decided to take a stand and leave. Because the person that I wanted to become didn't have him in it. And that's a really hard decision to make. But my future self, the place that I was going, she was guiding me and telling me that this is the place to go. Nothing was working. If nothing's working and you're forcing something, that is a message from the powers out there to say to you, stop trying to do something that is not for you. And once I took that one decision, everything changed. Because he didn't wish to evolve with me. He didn't want to change. So if he didn't want to change and I wanted to grow, I'm not going to stay with a person who's going to keep me down. I want someone to grow with me. So when I got to this point in my business about a month ago, I kind of sat with myself and was like, right, I want to grow. With all, especially the last year, all the healing that I've done and all the deep inner work and the deeper connection that I've got to myself, my business and what I'm showing to the outside world is not reflecting that. And if it's not reflecting that, then something needs to be done about it, because I'm now not allowing my true identity to come out. And that's all what I've been working hard to do over the last 3 years, is allow my true identity to be seen in this world, my uniqueness. And by me embodying that over the last 3 years, step by step by step, it's me getting confidence in that to then allow it out to the world. And this is a bit scary. I'm not going to lie. This is scary and I feel quite vulnerable. But at the same time, I know that I wouldn't be guided to this point if I wasn't ready for it. So what did I do? I sat down with a pen and a paper, and I wrote down exactly where I desired to go. I explained to myself the type of person that I now am and how I desire my business to allow me to grow in that way. And at the end of the day, my business is me. So my business wants to do whatever I want it to do. So my business wants to grow with me. And once I realized that, I then decided that I am now no longer going to identify with the person that I was before. The person who I was before was very much in a place of healing what I'd been through in my relationship from the relationship breakdown. I'm no longer that person anymore. I am no longer just healing from my previous relationship. I am now healing my entire life, believe it or not. I am healing so many different parts of myself, and I'm also preparing myself to go into healthier relationship dynamics, opening up to a whole different level of healthy ways of being and powerful ways of being. That's now what I'm stepping into. I am looking at every single area of my life now. And as a reflection of that, that's what I now want to offer so many more women out there. I don't just specialize now in supporting women after a breakup of a toxic relationship, especially to men in the Middle East. No, I am opening myself up to any woman or any person, actually, no matter where they are on their journey, to be able to heal what's coming up for them at that point and how that's blocking them becoming the woman that they desire to be, which is the authenticness of who they are. I'm allowing women to understand who they are at their core and so much more. Yet my business wasn't reflecting that. My business wasn't allowing me to grow in that way. And the reason why I'm saying this is because, number one, you have permission to change whenever you desire to change. You are growing, it's normal, you know? And it's like flowers, they grow one year, they look a certain way, and then at the end of the summer, they die off. And then the next summer, they'll bloom again, but they'll bloom slightly differently. And you're exactly the same. Who you were last year, who you were 5 years ago, who you were 10 years ago are all completely different people. And the biggest problem that we have in relationships nowadays is that we believe that the person in front of us is the person that we met 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 10 years ago. But in fact, they're not. It's only when we are consistently knowing who we are and communicating that and knowing who the other person is in our relationship, who they are today and what they desire. If we're not constantly communicating the changes that we're making in relationships, then relationships are doomed to failure because we're in love with a version of them that no longer exists. And it's us checking in with ourselves, and even it's communicating. And that's what I'm saying now. I'm now communicating with my business and saying that this is the person that I am now. And what I needed from you before is different from what I need from you now. Can you do that for me or not? And I had exactly the same conversation in my previous relationship. I said, look, this is where I want to go. And this is where I desire the relationship to go. Can you meet me there? Yeah, he would say he would because words are incredible, aren't they? But the actions never followed. And it was me coming to the conclusion that because his actions are not matching the words that he's saying to me, I have to believe that he is not willing to grow with me. And that was when I took the decision. And like I say, we are allowed to change. We are human. This is all part of our evolution and our growth. You know, it's like even the people that are in my life now and my family, I'm communicating with them, the person that I now am. I'm communicating what I now need from them. And my family are getting used to the difference of the person that I am now, you know? And it's only when we communicate that will the people in our lives around us be able to understand the transformation and the growth that we are doing. Because we have to go through a number of pieces of discomfort to be able to be the true version of us. That's like all part of the journey. And it can be scary. Even right now, the fact that I'm changing everything up, I'm going into a place that's unknown. My business has supported me so much until this point. Now I feel like I'm starting my business all over again. Could you imagine? Because I'm stepping into a new relationship. But I'm excited because already I, as Jade, is very clear now. And this is why I'm excited, because now I'm starting a new relationship in the way that I desire to actually start a physical relationship with someone. So everything I'm learning right now and everything I'm implementing in my business is exactly how I would implement it if I was in a physical relationship with a man. I am asking myself, what do I desire from my business? And this is what we as women have the power to do, to know what we desire from a relationship. We don't go into a relationship and just follow the man automatically. No, we get to say what we would like, how we would like it. To know, is this man going to help me grow and become the best version of me, or is he going to take me down? I didn't realize that I could do this when going into relationships. And this was something that has changed my whole way of viewing relationships going forward. Everything's transformed. And like I say, now I know what I desire, and that is the sticking point. And now I have said to my business how I'd like to express myself, how I would like it to work. My business is like, yeah, come on, let's go. And this is how a physical relationship can be. It's about you expressing what you desire from the relationship, them expressing what they desire from the relationship, and where can we meet in the middle? So when we do it in that way, both parts can show the authenticity of each other, and both can grow at their own way, which is then going to contribute to an incredible relationship going forward. That is what a healthy relationship dynamic is. And I am so happy after all the work that I've done on myself and after going through very toxic relationship in the past, and believe it or not realizing that a lot of different relationships in my life have been very toxic. And by relationships, I don't mean romantic relationships. I mean relationships that I've had with work. My relationship with food has been huge. I didn't realize all of these before were so toxic. Now I'm cultivating such a deeper, healthy relationship with these things that it's now supporting me in so many different areas of my life. And now that I'm going through this transition, because this is the thing, you can easily get out of a toxic relationship, believe it or not. That's a lot more easier than going into a healthy relationship going forward. Because even though you have left the toxic relationship, there is so many toxic patterns within you and programs that need to be deprogrammed, untoxified, so then you can understand what is healthy going forward and how your past doesn't destroy something that you deeply desire. Because you can happily find an incredible man, but if you're having the toxic thoughts of the past, this could then jeopardize a healthy relationship going forward. So now I am stepping into a whole new chapter in my journey with a healthy relationship dynamic with my business, I'm really looking forward to how I'm going to flourish in this and how I'm going to grow and how I'm going to evolve. And I am going to share with you all of this wisdom and all the things that I've unprogrammed, detoxified within this journey. So, yeah, this is the start of something new. I'm so excited to birth this. I am comfortably uncomfortable right now, but I'm going to see where it takes me, and I'm taking you along with the journey with me. Everything I learn, I'm putting it into this podcast. And yeah, thank you so much for coming along this journey with me. I am going to be sharing so much more than I ever have done. So yeah, be ready. JLT version 3.0 is on its way, and I will catch you in the next episode.